I had started writing in Savannah, and I started making the acquaintance of one or two people who were artists and writers, right? And so things were opening up for me a little bit like that. I was very much a late bloomer culturally. And when I went to England, I found out there was a USAF short story contest. So I wrote short stories. I was on a base that was really small. We didn't have airplanes. The base was like 300 yards long. And we shared it with the RAF. And
where was it?
Pardon?
Where was it?
West Drayton. It was in, and it was within striking distance of London, so that was good, right? And I started to make friends with some English people who were in the arts also, and some people on the base who were also writers. Surprising, it was a very small base, and surprising number of writers that were on it. And there was a short story contest that was to be judged, at base level was to be judged by Agatha Christie. So I decided I'd enter it, why not? And so I put 3 stories in, and I got first prize, and I got 4th and 5th honorable mention of the 3 stories. And
that's encouraging.
Yes, and I think I got $25 for it, which was a lot of money in those days. And I got to have dinner with Agatha Christie, which was kind of fun. And the story did okay at a couple of other levels, but it didn't get to the final levels. While I was in the Air Force in England, I took a playwriting course, which oddly enough was given at the London School of Economics, a peculiar place. And I wrote my first play while I was there. It was called No Sale, about a dark comedy about a robbery in a jewelry store. And the instructor, what was his name? Norman Holland. He was a nice guy, and he was good with critiquing, but he used to write plays and get them published with Samuel French. He wrote plays that were basically based on Edgar Allan Poe's stories, Telltale Heart, stuff like that. And he
was British.
He was British, yeah. And he liked the story enough to send it to Samuel French. First play I ever wrote, and it came back rejected. And I don't know the name of the guy who was writing Samuel French at the time, but he maintained that the story was more of a theatrical notion rather than a dramatic concept. I didn't agree with it about the play, but I've loved the term ever since. Theatrical notion as opposed to a dramatic concept. And I've applied it to different things for myself, and it works sometimes, and sometimes it doesn't. Things that took me by surprise, because it's a different kind of theater. I wasn't quite ready for it. The plays were different. And the arenas themselves were different, for one thing. It's like La Mama was almost like being in the living room, really, and the Chino was almost like being in the kitchen. It was so tiny. It was so tiny, but how do you define it? It's like, the plays were new, they were exciting. Some of them were very, very bad, and some of them very, very exciting. Some were really good. The only I'll kind of like keep it out there. Okay. Stanley Nelson and I were at that time also doing a newsletter for Off-Broadway called Proscenium. And we actually got a mention in the Village Voice with it, and it said it's like Off-Broadway talking to itself in a nice way. It was a nice comment, right? And we used to, we would do some essays and we did reviews of plays, and I reviewed cheap restaurants under the name of Bill O'Fare. And then we also had a back page, which was like a lot of really good information, solid information where people could do things or what was going on, and a lot of juicy gossip. And I was responsible for most of that. And people would say to me, "Where did you get that stuff?" People told me. I'll quote Casey Stengel. It's never a good idea to make predictions. especially about the future. Nobody knows. It's going to go wherever it's taken, really. It's like, somebody once told me that the one thing that all the science fiction writers in the world could not have predicted was a Korean deli on every other corner in New York City. So you just don't know where things are going. You might see where trends are, but what's going to happen with them, you don't